This is Hannity, Geraldo, and Bongino are again arguing about the January 6th. Dems obsess over January 6th, but ignore last summer's rioting in place like DC. This is, by the way, where Greg Kelly gets all of his programming ideas from. So whatever Hannity does, Greg Kelly does a version the next night.
President Trump until the period following the election, leading up to the despicable events of January 6th. On January 6th,
we bring you on for your
which he owes the American people.
We've already heard your opinion. His opinion is that it's despicable on January 6th. Now we need to go with someone who looks like an ostrich egg landed in a big and tall suit store and ask him his opinion on January 6th.
World and history, an apology.
And we need answers on these five. We need answers on all.
Sean, it's your show. You can't throw to Bongino, who is looking for teepee for his bunghole. You can't do that and then start talking. Dude. Sean's producers, I know you're new to this. I know he hasn't been on the air for very long. But what you do is throw a... You know how you have a camera light to let him know which camera to look at? And you throw... Okay, do another one that's left and right guest that lets him know that you're on them. That his red light is off. Or that I guess he should know from the red light being off. Maybe I'm just asking too much.
Geraldo, but Dan Bongino.
Yeah, whatever. They're basically the same guy. It's just that, at some point, I want Geraldo just pulls his mustache off and he's Bongino.
Geraldo's wrong on both fronts.
Wait, hold on, Hannity. Are you sure this is Dan Bongino? Is there anything? Could you just give us some visual clues? Because I think a lot of us are dubious.
It's profoundly wrong.
He's profoundly wrong.
President, I have his transcript of what he said. We're going to go march to the Capitol peacefully and patriotically.
Hi, dumbass. He didn't say march. He said walk down. If you're going to quote him and say, I have the transcript, then at least get it right. Why do I know the actual words and you don't? Secondly, he didn't want to ruin the actual mall. He was expecting to be president again. He didn't give a fuck what happened once they got to the Capitol.
Inciting a riot is quite confusing. I don't know if you need a thesaurus, a dictionary. I don't know where you get why.
Do you know what a thesaurus or a dictionary is, Dan Bongino? Do you know the difference between the? But maybe that's the root of it.
Making that up. I mean, I don't understand. Like, the narrative goes back and forth between this was a planned insurrection to then Trump incited an insurrection, despite the fact that Trump said go.
Yeah, there's a mix. There are people who were sent. He was counting on it, and then he had members of the crowd there who may not have been in on it. Like, yeah, you're going to go down with us. The people who were there to actually start it, they're going to march in. You guys give them support, and off we go. Like, this is not even hard.
March peacefully and patriotically. Again,
walk down patriot, and he said he was going to go down with them, which also turned out to be a lie.
I don't know why you're making that up. And I go, oh, I was a friend to President Trump. Well, with friends like you, who needs enemies? I mean, that's being a friend. And then secondly, this comment you made about, listen, this is about January 6th. Listen, I have been like Sean and everyone else. Let me say again, for the record, any violence against law enforcement, I absolutely and unequivocal term.
Yeah, no violence against law enforcement. Unless, of course, it's necessary because you got to hang Mike Pence. I mean, we got to hang Mike Pence. We have to. How are we going to do this? I mean, not us, of course. Antifa and BLM posing as fat white guys from Alabama who've been posting for years as Trump fans.
Condemned. Everybody got that? Crystal clear. I was a cop. No excuses. But you know what I find odd, Geraldo? The Democrats don't seem remotely interested in the insurrection that happened in the White House during the BLM riots, when my Secret Service friends were texting me saying, you have no idea how bad it's getting here.
I don't concerned.
The insurrection, there was an insurrection in the White House because there were BLM riots in Washington, D.C. Over George Floyd.
Agree with that.
Geraldo, can you let me just finish my point?
I don't disagree with that.
I don't disagree with it. Can you just let me finish my point? No, but I'm just suggesting to you that these things matter too, and Sean's point is not to diminish the violence on the 6th. His point is to say if...
Yeah, no, it is specifically to diminish the violence on the 6th. It is to water it down by comparing it to non-political acts. Well, not direct political acts.
We're going to discuss political violence as a problem in this country, as a principled issue, then let's discuss it all, not just the ones you think benefit you.
Again, we don't count our votes in a Louis Vuitton store, we don't count them in a Nike shop, we don't count them in a Target, we count them in the Capitol. That was an attempted coup in the installation of a dictator. It's very different than a bunch of people smash and grabbing a bunch of fucking shoes.
Politically, I'm done.
But
yes, you've been done for a long time.
But how do you explain Kevin McCarthy days afterwards saying the president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters? That's Kevin McCarthy saying that. That's not me. The mob was fed lies. They were provoked by the president, says Mitch McConnell, who was the majority leader of the United States Senate at the time.
Maybe
I mean, these are two leading Republican that chickened out.
But
they
Geraldo,
chickened out
me.
because the Republican Party wrapped itself around President Trump.
Geraldo, but you didn't get to my point, though. You still haven't. You deflected to Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, Geraldo, why aren't you deflecting to my deflection? Okay? We're deflecting here, and you keep deflecting back to reflection. We can't reflect on the day. We're deflecting on the day. Does he not know what time it is? This is Hannity's show. I don't even know. I feel like I'm in a hall of mirrors all of a sudden with all these reflections.
Without addressing the core of the issue, the question I asked you, how does telling people to march peacefully and patriotically, how is that inciting a riot?
He didn't. You're misquoting him again. I'm very disappointed, Dan Bongino, both in your suit choice. I mean, you look like a bouncer at an Italian nightclub that they would keep you out of.
You understand that makes no sense at all.
Well,
I don't know where you're getting that.
I believe in the bottom of my heart that the depths of my sincerity that the president knew what was going to happen. I believe the president
So you're saying those. Wait a minute, Geraldo, this is important. Wait. You're saying the president. You're saying the president saying peacefully and patriotically, so your voices will be heard. You're just going to ignore that?
No, they were bussing people down. He's saying that was part of that was softening it, trying to hide behind it. That was obfuscation language. And what in reality, he had been coordinating with Charlie Kirk and with Roger Stone and with Rudy Giuliani and all these people and Ginny Thomas to have people delivered at a certain point during his speech. They were getting marching orders. Alex Jones even said it, that 30 minutes before the end of the speech, they would all start walking down there. They would get a cue and then they were going to storm the Capitol. And obviously somebody brought wood. There was somebody who planned this shit ahead of time. And nobody brings that up. If you notice that, in all of these conversations about cops being attacked and them kind of back and forth about back to blue and whether or not they like his like, I don't believe in attacking the cops ever, but I mean, I don't know how you get in the Capitol without it. I mean, they're between you and freedom. So are they really even cops? Aren't they UN troops at that point? But notice how Hannity and even Geraldo, a little tip. The next time you're on the show, just go, they built a goddamn gallows. They brought enough wood and they constructed a gallows. Do you know how much footage Hannity and Bongino have shown of people showing up at Black Lives Matter like marches where they've gotten their banners out of the truck? They show up with like a rider truck and they get their stuff out so people can have signs and that kind of thing. Organized marches, because that's what a group like Black Lives Matter or other groups will do. They'll prepare stuff because they know they're going to march on a certain date. They get a permit in some cases. Weird. They show up with gear, stuff they've had printed out or they made personally, and they all show up at once. Where is the footage of the rider truck or whoever the fuck came with all that goddamn wood to build a gallows to hang the vice president? Why do none of these assholes, why am I the only person who brings this up? It is past my bedtime.
And say I don't believe him? That's your argument?
No, it's not that we don't believe him. We know he was lying.
Did you see what happened? Did you see who was in that crowd? Did you see how many? What are they saying?
I didn't
now?
ask you. Peacefully and patriotically. What part?
That's the line he put in the speech to cover. It's like the world's shittiest alibi. Look, yes, officer, I was there when the hitmen that I had spoken to on the phone for weeks and weeks and weeks showed up to kill my wife. Yes, I was a block and a half away. But I told them to obey the traffic laws on their way. What they did when they got there, I don't know. The check, I don't know who even wrote it. Did anybody? But I said, whatever you do, go down there and don't kill my wife.
That is confusing because it doesn't make sense.
Sean, it's called. Let me use an example you can understand, Sean. Fox News is not fair and balanced. They trademarked that phrase so that they don't have to be fair and balanced. If you say you're fair and balanced, then there's an argument about you lying to your viewers. But if you trademark a phrase, it doesn't have to be true. Coke is life. You deserve a break today. Nobody at McDonald's thinks you actually deserve a break. They have no idea what your work schedule is like. But that when they trademark that phrase, off you go.
You have Kevin McCarthy on the show on a regular basis. Mitch McConnell.
I got that. What part of peacefully and patriotically
it's convenient to point to Adam
confusing to you
and Liz Cheney. This was a shame.
He's not answering
this was an embarrassment. This will live in history. What happened on January 6th?
And by the way, Geraldo is right. He's like a Geraldo's not like a broken clock because he's right more than twice. He's like more than once a day or twice a day. He has his moments of clarity, and then he goes and I don't know if it's just a different batch of stuff that he huffs. Silver paint when he gets into the Mad Max silver huff. It's hard, I can't tell you what's on his mind.
And I absolutely believe that I agree with that 100%. And the fact that the liberals are allowing all these minorities to kill each other in this ghetto civil war.
Then let's call for a commission to end violence wherever it happens.
Let's call a commission to end violence wherever it happens. I agree. Can we use tanks on the Bundy clan? What are you calling for, Sean? I mean, this is the whole there's a lot of black gun violence. Why do we even care that our entire system of government was attacked? Imagine if somebody said, why do we need a 9/11 commission when the Michael Milkens of the world are getting out of jail in 6 months?
Every Monday I announce the body count in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in New York, in Baltimore.
I gotta go, guys. Thank you.
I gotta go, guys. My talking point has died.
To the break. The CDC is.
No, we're not. We're not following you. No one is. Dan. By the way, not nearly enough Dan Bongino logos in this one. I mean, maybe there you go, because it would get in the way of all these. Still on Parler? Oh, you are Parler. I forget. You couldn't get Bongino on your own goddamn channel? What's that about? Did somebody jump on there and grab Bongino? It's your network. It's your social media network. Why? That's sad. Dan Bongino? That's just pitiful.